Hi, I'm Anthony Lin. I'm the OpenShift specialist covering Red Hat ASEAN. In this particular session, I will walk you through what is ExploitIQ, the benefits that it brings, as well as a very quick demo around some of the features of ExploitIQ. Security analysts these days are under increasing pressure with the ever-increasing number of CVEs, as well as the frequency in which these CVEs are being discovered. This is especially true with the advent of AI toolings and with the recent rise of methods. As what we can see in some of the statistics shown over here, we have an 89% increase in terms of attacks driven by AI-enabled adversaries. There's a 42% increase in zero-day vulnerabilities exploited prior to public disclosure. And the number of days in which a vulnerability is exploited is now -7 days. So this is actually a cause of concern as AI has moved from a defender tool to one that is being used as an attacker's weapon. So we will need to be able to figure out a better way to be able to defend against all the CVEs that is being discovered and exploited on a daily basis. And securing the code is now getting ever harder. This is because of a huge increase in terms of the code volume. There has been 100 times increase in terms of code volume as well as the CVEs that comes along with it. We are also looking at a much lower mean time of about 8 hours in order for the adversaries to exploit the vulnerabilities. To add on, everything now is auditable in the sense that software security is now one of the controls under NIST SSDF as well as the EU Cyber Resiliencies Act. So we cannot really avoid or ignore all these different CVEs that we are discovering on a daily basis. So the real question really should be, how do we prioritize fixing of all these CVEs rather than looking at all of them and treating them as equal? We should actually be looking at ways to identify the ones that really matters. And that is really what ExploitIQ is trying to achieve. So while the scanner tells us that the vulnerability exists, it doesn't really tell us whether it is exploitable. What's important really is more around whether the vulnerable code is being used in the application itself. Is it being called? Are we going to use it when the application runs? So those are the more critical and important questions that we should be looking at, rather than just looking at how high the CVSS score is for this particular vulnerability. So SBOM provides an evidence-based verdict. So what can be done over here is that we can ingest the SBOM and we can look at the CVEs in scope, perform investigations, reasoning, as well as attestation that goes along after that. And rather than having the human to go through all these things, we can make use of AI to help us to reduce the time taken to perform all these different analysis. So what ExploitIQ is able to do in this case is that it is able to leverage on AI models to scan through the SBOM and to perform analysis, and then gives us a verdict around whether or not the CVE is exploitable. In cases whereby it is not certain or unable to give a high reliability results, it is going to return the result as uncertain so that an expert or security analyst can perform further investigations to see whether this is really a cause of concern. And one other things that can happen in this case is because of the ability to run all these scannings on premise, we will be able to ensure that the data itself stays within the platform. And this will also helps us to ensure sovereignty when it comes to the data itself. And in our case, we can leverage on model as a service that is provided within OpenShift and OpenShift AI to achieve this. Next, I'm going to move on to the actual demo to show you how ExploitIQ looks like, as well as how we can leverage on some of its capabilities to help us mitigate some of the problems that was being said earlier. The exploit intelligence can be deployed as an operator on the OpenShift platform, just like any other certified operators on OpenShift. More information with regards to the ExploitIQ agent can also be found in the GitHub repository housing the codes. If you were to find out more information about the component syncer, you can also go to the GitHub repo to read more about it. We will start off with the actual demo by looking at the Trusted Profile Analyzer. In this case, we have uploaded the SBOM of Parasol Insurance into the Trusted Profile Analyzer. These are all the packages that is found inside the SBOM, and this is the list of vulnerabilities that is detected as part of the scanning that we can see for this particular SBOM, out of which we can see there are multiple high and medium vulnerabilities. Under normal circumstances, what we will be doing is to look at all these different vulnerabilities, especially those in the critical and major or high state, and patch them and create a new container image that will be used for the parasol insurance image. So what we are going to do differently over here is that we are going to leverage on the exploit intelligence capabilities to be able to analyze the SBOM and the corresponding CVEs and see whether the CVE is something that we should be concerned about and whether or not it can be exploited for this particular image that we are going to look at and that has been scanned earlier. I've actually looked at it from different AI models perspective. Some are instruct models like the ones from Granite. We also have looked at it using GPT OSS, Llama 3.1, etc. We also have to make sure that we have an embedding model that we can use. So let's go back to the exploit intelligence and request for the analysis. So before we do that, let's go and take a look at what is the CVE that we might want to be analyzing. So let's select the first one. So I'm going to request for analysis, and I'm going to upload the SBOM, which we can find from the Trusted Profile Analyzer. And next, I'm going to submit for analysis. So great, the analysis is ongoing at this point in time. So we can look at what is going on from the container logs. If we were to go into the logs of the ExploitIQ pod, we can see that it is now downloading all the required files and information that it is retrieving in order for it to be able to perform an analysis. We just have to wait for the process to finish and get findings for the CVE that we have submitted along with the SBOM. All right, we can see that the analysis have completed. Let's go back to the ExploitIQ. Based on the results, we know that this CVE is actually not going to be vulnerable with regards to the parasol insurance SBOM. The reasons are provided over here in a nutshell, that the CVE is not exploitable in this container, and the reliability score is at 87%. So there are other ways that we can actually look at some of the past report that we have. And we can see that some of them, for instance, like CVE 2025-11966 is showing as uncertain. Based on the findings from the AI model, it is saying that it is not certain whether or not this CVE is actually applicable for this particular SBOM itself. And hence, it is asking for the security analyst to take a further look. In such cases, the security analyst will perform further analysis to determine whether this CVE is something that needs to be worried about. So in our case, the ExploitIQ have helped to reduce the time taken in order for the analyst to perform further analysis and investigations, and would have helped to reduce the total number of CVEs that the analysts have to go through, especially for those which are being flagged as not vulnerable, as what we saw earlier. And this will greatly help to reduce the time taken to go through the large number of CVEs that's coming in every day, and help to further optimize and reduce the time taken to perform CVE analysis. Thank you for watching the demo. As the next step, I hope that you will start to look at how we can prioritize all these different CVEs and to patch the things that really matters when it comes to protecting the application as well as the enterprise. Thank you.